What's going on, guys? Welcome to the premiere CloverCast. I'm going to be moving in a little bit of a new direction and starting a new podcast. I'm going to be calling it CloverCast. This is going to be episode 1, and I'm going to have the format's going to be a little bit more open. I'm going to try to bring in some different guests, some people in crypto, maybe some people outside of crypto, and provide a little bit more of an overview of some of the things that I've been seeing, something that's a little more free-flowing. You know, if you go back on my channel, when you're looking at the history of kind of how I started, I mean, I was, there weren't a whole lot of YouTubers that were doing crypto-specific videos that were doing them before me. I mean, I started in, March, April of 2017. And at the time, I think the only real notable crypto YouTubers, like Crypto with a zero at the end, he was probably the biggest YouTuber at the time, and he's since hasn't been doing as many videos. Travon James, there was Craig Grant. Those guys were kind of talking about some of the riskier projects, things that you could earn substantial amount of money in, and there was some smaller guys. There was Jerry Banfield, some more eccentric characters. That was about it. There was really about, maybe a handful of crypto YouTubers that were out there. And, since everything has really kind of grown and expanded, things have changed a lot. And I've really seen how things have changed over, the past, 5-6 years. And, there's a new trend that we're, kind of starting to see, like, that's kind of happened. Maybe it started about 3 or 4 years ago, where you started having a lot of more inauthentic crypto YouTubers that were pumping their analytics and doing some different things to appeal to crypto companies, and then they would sell themselves to do certain things, and offer get them in a situation where they could basically make a sizable amount of money, basically saying look at my following, this is what I charge. And that's how things have kind of changed. And it's not really something that I didn't like it. I kind of strayed away from it for a while. It's kind of gotten to the point where it's like, it's kind of the game now, and you see, a lot more of that. And, so I think, I started doing a lot more live streams, things that were, a lot more interactive, interacting with the chat, answering questions, about projects that, had a little more risk to them. Those tended to be the projects that people really were interested in. Those things that were a little bit riskier, that you could earn a little bit more in. When I was seeing how things were progressing, when I was doing YouTube videos and what was popular, that's what people like to see. And so I kind of stuck to more of those themes over time. And because of the high risk nature, a lot of those projects, they didn't end up panning out. Some of them, you were in them for a while, and they would do really well. And then, sometimes, there were projects that, just weren't all that good from the very beginning. And, as a guy just on YouTube doing videos, I don't have any control. I have zero control over what these crypto projects are going to be able to do. They can run audits, they can do a lot of things for authenticity, for verification, to show that they are legit. And I've seen, these projects fail in just about every way imaginable. And so, I've had projects, that I've wanted to kind of be a little more exclusive to. I know this is a legit project. I know the people behind it, and so I wanted to, kind of stick to that, do a little bit more professional, more promotional style videos. And when I was doing those, the engagement, wasn't all that great, and it's hard to to justify the work that I'm putting in. With the engagement that I was seeing. And I think the reality of the situation with crypto as a whole is it's still a very niche market. There's not a whole lot of interest outside of the crypto community for these types of projects. There's been different things that have changed from time to time, but people get scared off by all of the the inauthenticity, the scams, just the different things that you have to deal with and navigate. It's a very technical field at times, and so I think I've done a really good job of breaking down very complicated projects, and topics, and making them a little bit easier for the average person to kind of understand what's going on, and where some of the opportunities are. And so I've really kind of geared a little bit more towards that. But I got away from doing videos. I would have problems with a project. I'd take a little vacation. I wouldn't be as consistent. I was having internet issues, being out here in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. For those of you guys that don't know, I live in Iquitos, Peru, which is the largest city in the world that you can't drive to. You have to take a plane or a boat to get to. It's a city of about 500,000 people in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, and the internet here is a big issue. We're about 1,000 kilometers away from the nearest sizable city, and even those cities, they're not as big as this one. So it's really out here, and they don't have very good internet infrastructure, and it's improving. But that prevented me from really doing live streams when I moved here about 2.5 years ago. So it's going to get to a point, I think, where I can do some live streams. We have Starlink now. One of the issues with Starlink is it tends to kind of lose its signal for just a split second, and that can cause a lot of issues when you're on a live stream and some of those things. So I'm going to be working to get on a real solid internet connection. There's a couple places, some restaurants that it has a little bit of a noisier background, but I'd like to get into doing a little bit more of that as I go, because I've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, and I enjoyed that. I think it was something where I can offer a lot of value. I have a lot of experience in this area, and so through my travels, when I when I started in Seattle, I moved to California with an opportunity there with a crypto project, and from there I got another opportunity to go to Thailand. When I was there, I ended up going to Vietnam. I stayed there for about 2 years. Moved to the Philippines. I was there in the Philippines for about another 2 years. And then, about 2 years ago, I moved here to Iquitos, Peru. And so, since I've moved here, though, I haven't been, doing, videos in the same way. And so, that's, I think, something I want to get back into. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to start a podcast. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. And, I think initially I'm probably going to be doing a little more recorded versions, but I want to bring on guests. I want to bring on some other people, so perhaps some new projects, some older projects, some things that are still doing well. I'm going to spend some time, talking about, what's working, like, where I see, some things, and just, real, authentic, just engaging. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be a little bit lacking, with the crypto space. I see, some YouTubers out there that I've known for quite a while, because, I've been following their channel as they've grown. And, I think that, I think there's a lot of value behind some of those, and I think there's some really good personalities out there, and there's also a lot of people that are inauthentic, so it's kind of hard to know. There's people, I think that some people just kind of gravitate to. So maybe I have a little bit of a different way of projecting the different things that I'm seeing in the crypto space. And so that's, I think, what I'm going to try to focus on. Again, I'd like to get back into live streams if I can work out some of those technical issues. Maybe I'll do something where I can do like 1 or 2 days a week. But doing recorded podcasts like this, I think, is something that I can definitely get back into doing. So, like I was saying before, there was projects that kind of wanted a little more exclusivity. They wanted me to be more of a spokesperson. They wanted more professional marketing, and so I had kind of switched to doing a little bit more of that. I think I'm going to kind of move back to some of my roots, some of the things that really got my channel, beginning and started and up and off the ground was really through traveling and also doing just daily. Informational sessions, whether it be, I think when I was originally doing it, I focused a little bit more on trading. not necessarily technical analysis, but just kind of a general market overview. And part of that was there wasn't really a whole lot of tools at the time to really document what was going on. And so some of that was, a little bit more for, my own personal reference. I could go back on some of those streams and check, where the market was or the market sentiment, at that time based on, kind of how I was seeing things. So, I think that I'm also seeing a lot of things are changing when you're looking at some of the media, when you're looking at social media and how people are consuming media. I think a lot of people are moving towards short form, the vertical format, the shorts, TikTok, maybe even the square format with Instagram. But I was really focused on, I think I had 5 social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube. There wasn't TikTok at the time, but it was Instagram, Twitter. There's one more I'm missing, but there was about 5 that I kind of focused on building some of those out. And I think I'm going to get back into that again and looking at some more short form type videos. So pulling from some of these podcasts, pulling short excerpts and little quotes and things like that, and getting back more into shorts. And if I have the little more time and with some of the editing tools, there's some really cool shorts that I've really been into that are really incorporating music. So music that is really powerful, engaging. A lot of times you'll see them with like movie actors or clips from movies. And I feel like those can be really powerful. They're ones that you watch over and over again, and those really do well in the YouTube analytics. I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of crypto stuff that's like you're going to want to watch over and over again. There could be if it's kind of more promotional in nature and it's got good music to it. And so I'm going to look at experimenting with that a little bit. And another thing that I really wanted to try to kind of branch out into a little bit is doing some videos or maybe some video series in Spanish, and trying to pick up and learn a little bit more of my Spanish. My Spanish now has gotten a lot better from being here for 2 years. I didn't know anything, never took it in school, and when I came here, I didn't even want to learn it for like the first 6 months. I just refused to learn. And it became more and more of a necessity, especially since I was getting scammed, and there was like a lot of like if you don't speak any Spanish, like you're just a walking target. And with everything going on with the COVID days, people were really desperate for money, and this can be a little bit of a scandalous area where people can find different ways to fleece money from you in different ways, and they're really ingenious about how they go about doing that. So I've learned over the years how to protect myself and get better with that. But I think there's a huge market with the Spanish-speaking community. There was a project here that whenever you talked about crypto, they always brought this project up, and I took a look into it and watched a couple of reviews from people that I know, some YouTubers that I know that kind of broke it down and did some more research into it, and they identified right away that there wasn't a whole lot of legitimacy to it, and it was most likely a scam. And that's the warning that I gave to a lot of people is to stay away from that particular project. And sure enough, I think about 6 or 9 months, after I became aware of it, it went under and started having, kind of, withdrawal issues, which is kind of how it started, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So I think that there's a large portion of the Spanish-speaking community that doesn't have some of the, kind of the higher level intel when it comes to crypto projects. Like, I think there's some really awesome crypto projects out there. Some things that people should really be taking a longer look into, but there's not a whole lot of people talking about those in Spanish. So one of the things I thought about doing was maybe doing maybe not like a full video. I think that would be too difficult. But if I were to do like shorts, I could focus on the pronouncing and doing some of those things in a short form manner. and then maybe getting some help from someone that can translate some of it, or it's a little bit easier for me if I'm have a little bit of a script that I can work with that I can translate, and then I can work on the translations for that. I'm actually pretty good at speaking Spanish that way, so that's something I was kind of working on a little bit here, more on, like, for instance, like my WhatsApp updates. So WhatsApp is huge here. It's basically the number one way to communicate, and they have a lot of programs for people that maybe don't have a whole lot of money. They buy a cell phone plan for 5 soles, which is like $1, but their WhatsApp will work for like a month, sometimes 2 months. They get like a lot of incentive for that, and that's kind of built into the networks here, which is really strange. It's kind of man, it kind of brings a lot of like conspiracy type stuff into it, when it's like the internet doesn't work, but Facebook works, WhatsApp works, TikTok works, YouTube works, but that's it. Like, you can't do anything on an actual internet connection, and that's the way a lot of the internet here is here. So it's kind of interesting how that's become a thing. But yeah, I think I want to do a couple of series in Spanish and try that out. There's some work that goes into doing some of those. One of the things I've seen that's been really popular with YouTube Shorts is like writing out the captions. And if you're doing that in English, maybe doing that in Spanish. Maybe I speak it in Spanish, but I have the captions in English. So there's probably a few different ways that I could do that. So there's, those are some of the ideas that I had, but I definitely need to kind of start getting back into doing a more regular, podcast, something that gives a little bit more content that people can get into and learn a little bit more about, some of the things I'm doing. So, I've kind of, fulfilled a little bit of this advisory role for projects as well, because I have so much experience and I can just speak so freely on it. I've talked with, a lot of smaller projects, over the last year. And, I kind of moved into a little bit of an advisory role with some of those projects where I wasn't getting paid or anything like that. I'm just telling them, hey, listen, like, I think you should be looking at this. I think you should be doing this differently. I would be careful about this. And part of it was just, bringing up like, things like, hey, don't, like, this YouTuber that you're giving all this money to, did you not know that he's obviously fake? Like, look at his comments, like, look at his engagement, look at, Social Blade. Did you do any research on this guy? And a lot of the times the answer is no, because, these projects, they're more developer types. They don't know a whole lot about marketing. They don't know a whole lot about, the space in as a whole. And it's an easy, they easily prey on some of these people. And that's when they actually do the video. There's a lot of projects that are out there that are just outright scams, where they get you to pay, and then as soon as you pay, you never hear from them again. There's a lot of projects that have been scammed in those ways. So it's hard to know a little bit more, who you can trust and what's authentic. And so I think the podcast element adds a little bit more authenticity to that. So you can have more interviews and a little bit more of a back and forth, an AMA, something where you can ask open questions. You're getting the information directly from the founder. You're getting a little bit more of that information, and that you can make a better decision for yourself. Because I'm a little bit more naturally bullish on everything, and when people have a great idea, a lot of times it is a great idea, but it doesn't work for, a number of different reasons. And a lot of these founders have been anonymous. They'll basically, kind of hide behind the camera. And they don't want to be on camera for, a number of different reasons. But then, when things go wrong, eventually they'll kind of point the finger of blame at, the people that are on camera, maybe people that were talking about it or doing videos about it. And so that's, it's unfortunate. It's a little bit, it's understandable. It's kind of human nature. So I didn't really take, a whole lot of offense to that. But, I have received like, I don't know, I would say dozens of death threats, over the years. A lot of times they're just scams. Like this, like I would get an email, basically saying that they have a hit order on me and that they're going to be taking me out. But if I pay more than the person that paid for the hit order, then they would let it all slide and go away. So obviously it's a lot of those are just ways to kind of scare someone to fleece money out of them. But it's crypto can be a dark world at times, and so some of those things I think can go a little bit more unnoticed. And I think the strongest things that you're starting to see is the communities that have been built with different crypto projects, and there's several good projects out there, and I think that those deserve a lot of credit for building those communities over time. And this has been something where I really started off building a large community in the first several years of being on YouTube and different social medias and whatnot, and that's kind of stalled a little bit over the past 3 or 4 years. And I think that I have some people that follow me a little bit more consistently, and some people will just kind of come across on it in the YouTube section. So I think I'd like to find some different ways to branch out and to reach new audiences, and I think that having doing things in some of the ways that I'd mentioned is going to be the way to move forward with that. So this initial podcast is going to be a little bit more of just kind of talking about some of my plans with the podcast and how I want to kind of move about this, and I think that I'm going to be maybe a little bit more focused on some certain things. So for my next podcast, I think I'm going to focus on some of the projects that I'm a little bit more into right now that have been around a long time, and some of the projects that I've been in and it didn't work out for whatever reasons, and maybe talking about some of those, and maybe finding some guests and people that wanted to come on and talk about some of those things, and having a little bit of a a little bit of a collaboration on that. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. So I appreciate you guys. I've had some people that have been watching me for a long time, and I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to bringing you guys some new content. So be looking out for that, and I will catch you guys in the next video.